Hi everyone! In today's tutorial I want to show you how you can make an interactive visual using your mouse. We will be using Nvidia Flex component, so everyone that owns a Mac or does not have a Nvidia GPU could not replicate this tutorial today, unfortunately. But let's get started! Before we start with the brand new project, I wanted to explain what is Nvidia Flex. So Nvidia Flex is a component that will simulate physics. So it could be either fluids, rigid bodies, or cloth. When you open the comp menu in the comp, you will see the last column here, which is dynamics, which you can use with the Nvidia Flex solver. In order to use it correctly, today we will use an actor, the flex solver, and we will also use some force. The actor's role in the flex solver is it will tell how the flex can use the particle and how it should behave in the solver. Like always, if you don't want to follow along, you can get the files in my Patreon. I will link in the description below. Let's open a blank new project. We will start by adding a box sub, then a transform. In the transform, we will change the uniform scale to 0.025. Then we will connect it to an actor. After that, we will get the Nvidia Flex solver. Then we have a warning here, it says Flex Fluid required instancing. It's because the actor kind of have the role of the geo, if you can see it like that. So we will have to instantiate, let's say our bugs are our particle. So we have to instantiate our particle into the actor for the flex solver to render it. So we will have to go into the instance here and enable instancing. Now we will need a render. We will change the resolution to 720 by 1280. Pixel format would be 32-bit float. Then let's add a camera, a light, and after the render, let's add a null. And we can make the viewer active just to see what we're doing. Next, we will bring a keyboard in chop, and we will use it to initialize and start the simulation of the solver. In the solver, we will change the gravitational acceleration, just change it to 0 here, and then press 1. We will change the camera Z to 2.5. Next, what we will do is we will tell the flex how many points or particle or bugs we want to have in the simulation. So we will bring a pattern chop. We will choose random, and in the channel, we will have 3 channels, which would be X position, Y position, and Z position. We will bring a math next because we want to normalize the data between, now they're in between 0 and 1, but if we want to center our shape in the middle, then we will need to change the range to -1 and 1, connect it to a null, and we will call it translate. In the actor, drag the translate on the translate OP, and then we will select X, Y, Z, and then press 1. Now we have the points floating around, but what if you want to constrain it in a shape? So in my example, I had a box, and then the particle were constrained inside that box. In the flex solver, we can enable boundaries, and then it would be bounding box. And we can reference a bounding box up here. So we will create another box up. For the size, we will change the size X to 7.2 and the size Y to 12.8. Then you can attach a null. Let's bring it here. Then just drag it on the bounding box here. So if we press 1, we can kind of see that it's constrained, but we don't have enough point to see really what's happening. What I did next to have all the point constrained more together is I reduced the scale of the box. So instead of the scale 1, I changed to 0.3. Let's create a constant be 10,000. And let's reference this here. Now, how do we make circle appear? Let me bring it back. So how we can have this circle here? So this is a force that we will apply in the solver. Open the menu. In the comp, we will use force here. And then we will use the force field. So we have to activate and push the strength to 100. And later we will change the radius based on the left click of the mouse. And we can use also the translate here to change, just make it bigger, to change the position of the force. Before adding the mouse interaction, we will add a material to our box. Let's select font. We can drag it on the actor, and for material, we will put the specular to 0. And the diffuse, let's keep it like that for now. Now what I want to do is have a rotation of all the cubes and also a different scale, so they don't look all the same. I will bring a noise stop. Then in the common, I will drag the num box on resolution X here. The other would be 1. Because we will instantiate it in the actor, and we have to have the same number of points for every attribute we put in the instance. Let's connect it to a mat. And this will be the rotation. So in the multi-add, change to 360. Let's connect to a null. Call it rod. Then we can drag it rotation here. And press 1. And we have to add some movements. So we will change the type to simplex 4D. And here we will use ABS time per second times 0.1 and press 1. Let's add the scale, so some of them can be smaller. So let's just duplicate everything here, change the name for scale, and in the math we will change the multiply. Let's put it to 1 in the actor, translate the scale here, and RGB press 1. In the math, I think I use 1.7, but you can have something you like. Thing is wrong. Oh, I see. Okay, so in the noise, just select the 2. We forgot to change the pixel format, so in the common, just put 32-bit float, and here we go. So that's why we couldn't see the rotation actually earlier. Maybe it's a bit big. I will change maybe 1.5. I will just reduce the circle a bit. Now we will add the mouse interaction. We will bring a mouse in chop, and we want to add the left button click. So let's create a variable. We can call it LFB. And the output coordinate, we have to change it to normalize. To make an example of what we want to do, I will bring a circle top and change the resolution to 720 by 1280, and just put the circle to say 0.2 for now. We want to change the translate X and Y with the mouse direction. If we drag the TX on the X here and TY on TY here, we can see that the circle is moving. Then what I want to do is when I click, I want to make the circle appear. And when I'm not clicking, so when I click it's 1, and when I'm not clicking it's 0. So when I click 1, I want to make the circle appear, and when I release, I don't want any circle. Let's then grab a select job and only select the LFB. Let's connect the mat, then the null. And then we know that it goes from 0 to 1, so we don't have to change the from range. But when it's 0, which I'm not clicking, I don't want any circles, so the radius would be 0. And then I will change the other range to 0.2, and I will reference that the radius here. So when I click, now I see, let's view it. I see the circle appear, but I don't want this sharp movement. I want like it disappear and appear gradually. So what I will do is after the mat, we'll add a lag, and I will put the value to 0.5. So when I click now, you can see it grows slowly and go back to 0 slowly. Then to apply this to our visual, we will select the force, and the radius would be the value LFB. And in the X form, we will change the translate X with TX and translate Y with TY. Okay, so our radius is too small for the visual here, so in the map we will change it to 0.6. That's good. We will now pass to the post-processing. The first thing we're going to bring is a bloom connected to a level. In the bloom, reduce the pre-back level to 0. And the min bloom radius to 0.3. We will change the output to bloom only, and the level we will invert it. So that's what will create the circle to be white and the particle or the boxes to be darker. We will change the black level to 0.5, so it's completely black. Next, we will connect the two with the composite. Let's use add as the operation here. After that, I want to add feedback. Connect it to a level and a blur. Let's add another composite. And we can drag the composite onto the feedback. To reset the feedback, we can use the keyboarding job on the reset here. And then we go back to the comp, the second comp, and change operation to add it to the null. And we will reduce the opacity in the level. So in the boss here, reduce it to 0.3. And we will change the blur filter size to 32. Let's view it. Okay. If we want to make the particle lighter, we can play with the font here and change the diffuse. But if we put the diffuse too dark, then it will be white. So we have to select maybe something that we like. I like it when it's dark, but when I click, you can't really see clearly the particle. We can see it, but it's a bit dark. So you can just add the matte afterwards and change the multi-add here in like 1.5. So, or even maybe 2. I think that's better. I like kind of a grainy effect on each of my visual. In order to do that, what you can do is bring a noise, connect it to the first input here, and then in the output change noise only. In the noise, just put the period to 0, and then the grain would be what you see here. So we will change the type to simplex 4D, and you can increase the exponent to make the grains more faint, and you can also reduce the amplitude. So the more the amplitude is up, the more grains you have, and then lesser the amplitude, less grain you have. You can also animate with ABS time that second. So the grains would be moving. And then we can bring a comp again. And what I usually use is operation overlay. I think it gives a better result in the end. Another thing you could do is go into the Flex solver and just play with the physics here. I won't explain all the properties here, but I can show you the main one. You could modify to have another type of visual. So for example, the particle radius, you could decrease it or increase it, but if you increase it too much, then it makes like kind of an explosion effect, which is not really good, but you can reduce it a bit. So it's more like a fluid. You could also change the collision distance. If you have a higher collision distance, then the collision would be softer. In our case, since we have a restricted place, it's just make everything explode again. But if you have a low collision, then the contact is tighter between the particle. So if I reduce it for 0.5, something like that, they kind of stick more together, if I can say it like that. You can also play with the bloom here if you think it's too dark. 0.9 be good. But that's it for today's tutorial. I hope you enjoy it and you find it useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in the next one.